Genograms are a brilliant way of conveying complex information about a person and a family in very simple terms that can be easily interpreted by other people. So the skill of being able to draw a genogram is hugely valuable. Here are my 7 top tips on how to draw a genogram. Before we get into it, there's a few key things that you need to know about drawing a genogram. The first tip is to make sure you include 3 generations at least. That is your baseline. If you're going for less than that, you're not really going to get the full picture. So include at least 3 generations. Tip 2, remember that people are not silos. We are all part of a family unit and a family system, and that is what the value of the genogram is. So it's really important, don't brush it aside. It's a really significant part of taking your patient history. And tip 3, think of it as the patient or the key person's ancestry. So make sure that you include anything that's relevant to them. So that would be any other children, any other relationships. All of the connections that are related to them should be included in the genogram. Tip 1, add a gender. So here you can put male and female, so it'll be a circle or a square. You can also put if the patient is transgender. When you're adding information about a transgender person, remember that it's the external symbol that displays the gender in a genogram. And in addition, you can actually also include information about sexual orientation here. So there's different symbols for someone who is gay, who is lesbian, who is bisexual. So there are different symbols here for different sexual orientations which you can choose to include in your genogram. And remember that what you need to do when you've got your key index person is to put an arrow, or sometimes it will be a double box, to show that they are the key person in this genogram. So they are the patient or they are the core person of interest. Tip 2, use numbers. Numbers can be used in different ways on genograms. The first thing you can do is add their age. You can put their age right in the middle of their box shape, and that will tell you how old that person is. You can also add the birth date with a little line with the year that they were born if you want to add extra information about birth dates. Number 3, relationships. We want to know more about the family relationships. So all the straight lines just tell you that people are connected, but actually you want to know the nature of these relationships. So you can express lots of different things through genograms. You can say whether couples are divorced, whether they are married, whether they're separated, whether they're reconciled. But as well as adding simple information about the actual factual nature of their relationship, you can also add information about the quality of their relationship. So there are symbols to show whether a relationship is controlling, whether it's abusive, whether there's neglect, whether it's a hostile relationship. So all of these can add extra detail and help you show what the quality of the relationships are. Number 4, illness. It can be helpful to add significant illnesses through the genogram that will help show patterns of inheritance or patterns of illness in the family. Serious illness will be shown by a half shaded box, and suspected illness is shown by a half stripy box. Now you can write in what the illness is, and actually some illnesses have specific colour codes which you can use. So some common illnesses like asthma, for example, has a particular colour indicator that will show that that patient has asthma. 5 is children. So you can clearly see whose children belong to who, but there's also times where you'd want to show more detail about the children. So you can show if someone was adopted, if a child is fostered. You can also show if someone is pregnant. And there's ways to indicate if there's been previous miscarriage or abortion, as these can all be useful parts of the family history. Number 6 is to show whether people are alive or whether they're deceased. And this is a very simple one. If there's an X through one of the people, that means that they're deceased. You can also indicate if someone is widowed, for example. But this is really helpful to look at the genogram and get an idea of who is alive and who is deceased. And number 7, households. What is really important to know is who actually lives together, because you might have a very complex family history, but who's living in the house. And you do this by drawing a circle around the people that are living in that house. Again, a great piece of information that you can glance at and get a feel for what the family status is. And as a little bonus tip, it can be a beautiful addition to add stressors and vulnerabilities as a little note in the corner of the genogram. So what are the top 3 stressors of this family and what are the top 3 vulnerabilities? This can be a bit of extra information. It's not necessary, but it can be nice if you can add it in. So there are hundreds of different symbols, and I'll share some links in the description underneath, but these are the key ones that will help you draw a clear and smooth genogram. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love my video on 5 tips that every medical student should know before their PEDS rotation, and you can see that video right here.